All right, so we are a few minutes from polls closing. The other data I think that we had in there was the Real Clear Politics, which was our same folder, and RCP average. So this is much like, but it shows if we can get that one on air. It's in the same polling folder, and it's called the RCP average, and it looks at 2016, 20, and 24. So the polling error that we had in those elections, they showed Biden winning the national by 7.9%, Clinton by 4.3%. They didn't reach anywhere near that. We're going to break down some of this data as we get down into these counties, as these polls start closing, and we start getting some county data here in just a few minutes. Pennsylvania, Biden barely won in 2020, and they had the polling average had them at 3.6%. Ohio, they had Biden winning Ohio in 2020 by 0.2%. Interestingly enough, since 1892, I don't know if you know this, it's kind of a weird little piece of trivia in the head.
I might know it.
Okay, what is it?
No Republican has ever won in the White House without winning Ohio.
Okay, so there's only been two who have won. Ohio's only been wrong 3 times since 1892. There were 2 Democrats who lost Ohio and won the White House. Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 1944 and John F. Kennedy in 1960. Both lost Ohio and won the White House. There's only been one person who's won Ohio and lost the White House. Donald J. Trump in 2020. And isn't that a crazy stat? And here you have, a Real Clear polling average that has, in 2020 had Joe Biden winning Ohio, and of course he didn't win Ohio. Donald Trump won it by about 2 points.
When you say Ohio, do you just want to say OH?
No, I do not. The one thing, if you go back to the Gator glory days in the early part of this century, the one thing that we knew in both football and basketball is that Ohio was the second best team in the country twice. So, because we owned them in both football and basketball for the national championship.
Jamie, moving down to Florida, let me tell you, there's certain things I just didn't know what to do. OH, IO, OH, go around. I had no idea what this was, and I figured it out real quick.
You find it out in Florida?
Oh yeah, and so welcome to SEC world. So
they have a great band.
Well, they're not in the SEC, but
we're in SEC land. Big
a lot more college football than in Brooklyn. That's for sure.
So that's
So are we? We do not have any. We're still 7 minutes away from the election results, babe.
Okay.
Here's a trivia question.
We could see if Mike Holderness wants to come back in. He's on standby again.
Okay.
Yeah, let's try. Yeah, let's try him.
For sure.
It's his 10 minutes. We're trying to fill.
Let's see if he found some light.
Which state has the most?
Can you hear me now?
Hey, there's Michael Holderness, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Holderness.
How you doing, Jamie Miller?
I'm doing well. We gave a big plug for the Big Tiki. The Big Tiki's open, right?
Yeah, the Big Tiki's open for business. We got it open. We had the grand reopening last Saturday.
Oh, great. That's good to hear.
So where are you, Michael?
We're in front of the Hyatt. We're just getting here to the big event. Smiles going around everywhere.
So what is the big event?
The big Trump event.
Whose party is it? Can you tell us?
Yeah. You want to go inside and take a look? Or
yes.
You
guys absolutely.
On the air.
That's why people are joining us, is for a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And do you have your badge on?
I do have my badge.
Yes.
That's my man.
Flips
That's
up.
my man.
Proud. The sense of unity here, though, is honestly, it's really outstanding. It was a lot like we felt at the RNC, where it was more everybody coming together for a common goal, and all this self-serving interest put aside, and it's a really, really a good feeling.
Hey, fellow delegate.
Today feels a lot better than tomorrow feels a lot better than yesterday did.
Mike, while we have you on the air, can you tell us a little bit about your experience at the RNC?
Oh, the experience? Well, you'll know too. It was absolutely phenomenal. The energy, the vibration in that room was something that I haven't felt in a very long time. And it was just really, really nice seeing people come together and uniting, and it felt like America is what it felt like.
So, Michael, do you have predictions for tonight? Like and I know Chad has some for some congressional races that we're going to get into here in just a couple of minutes. But what predictions do you have? How much does Donald J. Trump win Florida by?
Florida? It's going to be 66, 67%, if not 70%.
That's pretty bold.
I truly believe will be 60% across the board.
That would be incredible. That'd be a historic win. Yeah. If he's at 60, you could turn the lights out across the nation. The whole night's over.
Yeah, we will know tonight. We really will know tonight. I feel that it's coming. When it comes to the vice president, I think the rattlesnakes in her camp are the women. I think the women, even if they're anti-Trump, they're voting for Trump, and that's going to be something to be seen. But that's my prediction. There's a lot of
I tend to agree with you. I know that
out there, and they're going to vote for Trump, and they might not tell their friends.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think there's a lot of women who are voting pro-choice for sure. But I think there's a lot of women who are voting pro-sons as well. And, when you have somebody who's unqualified to be commander-in-chief, the way the Democrats ordained Kamala Harris, you really end up with a kind of a problem where, nobody trusts her to go to war. I mean, she has not explained yet, who she is, what she stands for, what she's going to do, or why she should be president. And when you start thinking about that and apply it to foreign policy and what's that mean for my children, and are my children going to get drafted to go to war? We know that just 10 days ago, 10,000 North Koreans joined the Russian army in Ukraine, and the war over there is building, not under this administration. It is not diminishing, and yet the mainstream media, unless you're on a program like this, nobody even knows that 10,000 North Koreans have joined the war in Ukraine with on the side of the Russians. So, it is incredible that those types of major issues that she's unqualified to handle just got swept under the rug in the last 2 weeks of the campaign.
I could not agree with you more. I really couldn't. What we have now, we're in a time where it's time for a change, and I think that everybody feels that way. And we're going back. We saw what he did in his first term, and this term the handcuffs are off. And what I mean by that is he's really going to get things done that's needed for this country, and the sustainability of this country. I mean, and bullets don't kill superheroes because they walk with divine intervention. He's bringing back God, and he's talking about it, and that's what needs to happen because it's the Christian values that we live by, and that's the heart of this country.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, you even look at me and you. I mean, we're kind of novice. I mean, kind of getting into politics, and me and you ended up on the front row in the RNC because we were so fired up with what's happening with the country. I mean, we need more men and women like us to get involved locally. We need more men and women like us to speak our mind, to use the word divinity in some of your comments, Christian values. We need to bring it back. And I think that's what we're doing tonight. Hopefully the rest of the country doesn't want any more transgender volleyball players spiking their ball into their child's chest and putting them in the ER. It's about time we fight back a little bit.
Yeah, and Chad, you did a wonderful job there at the RNC. I mean, you brought the energy, and you felt it like I did, the sense of unity and what's right for this country. We don't want women and men and women's sports. Come on now. No. I would never think in a million years we'd be talking about men and women's sports. I mean, that's just insane. We gotta, it's hard. It's
men and women's prisons.
We need to protect. Women,
go down the list.
At the same time, we need and it's their choices, but we don't need men and women's sports.
No, I mean, again, going back to the RNC in Milwaukee. I mean, Mike, if you remember, I mean, what didn't it was hard to tell on TV, but when Israel got mentioned or in the audience, I mean, I'm sure CNN didn't play any of that, but our section in Florida was the loudest. I mean, we were all about Israel, and if you think about the only democracy in the Middle East and our probably number one ally in the entire world is Israel, the only party that's really supporting Israel is the GOP.
Yeah.
So if you're a Democrat,
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. There's too many people dying, unnecessarily dying, and we need to keep our allies safe, and we need to protect them as well. It starts with America. We can't protect anybody, and we can't unite and join forces with anybody if we're not strong.
You know, Michael, you said, the feeling there, it feels like America, and it actually it gave me chills because, it maybe because I'm been thrown into politics in the last 4 years being with Jamie, but I never really realized the amount of anger that comes from this. And, I have had friends, two specific friends, 30 plus years that we've been friends who actually unfriended me from Facebook because when we were at the RNC, we got back from the RNC and, it was one of those things, you don't see somebody around and you go check and you realize that they've unfriended you. And it's just, it's amazing to me that politics that it's like this. I mean, you have people that live together and, hate, one has one football team, the other one has another football team, I mean, Jamie he thinks his Black Eyed Peas are the best things in the world. I think they're horrible.
I like that band.
But the food.
Come over on New Year's Eve, buddy. You're going to...
You know what I mean? But we're not hating each other and we're not, trying to tear our country apart because of it. And it's just really, it's really disheartening how much anger there is when it comes to politics, when in all honesty, I think everybody wants the same outcome, but how we get there is just tearing everything apart, which is just horrible.
Well, it's great shows like yours, Jamie's, and you guys coming on and doing this. You're getting the word out, and those people will come around. They'll definitely come around. It's just the chatter right now. There's a lot of negative chatter that's been going on the last 4 years. As soon as that negative chatter stops, people will just come back together, and that's what they're very divisive. Techniques been used on the people, and it's like they're just almost brainwashed. I don't know what's going on, but I can tell people are starting to come back together, and they will. Trump's going to win tonight, and we can stop these silly wars and stop the. How many people died over in Ukraine? 500,000 men, maybe more. I don't know at this point, but it's just sad. These people do not have to be dying when we have such a great country that can, kind of keep the troublemakers at bay.
Well, thank you for coming on. I know they're about to open the doors there and the big rush to a big, successful...
I thought he was taking us in.
Oh, are you going in?
I thought he was taking us backstage.
Oh, I'm out front now, but I'll take you in. Come on.
Give the audience how Sarasota does it. So.
Don't forget to take us in.
You might not be able to hear us, but...
Polls have just closed in the eastern portion of Florida, so we're going to wait on a couple of these results here.
Hey, I just want to give a shout out. We finally got the chat up where I can see it. So to Jonathan Hogue, Amber. Hi, Amber. I know your heart's going out to Michael, but we love you anyway. And Travis, thank you for joining us. And again, if there's anybody out there that has comments or questions, we can see them now. So please send them, and we will get anything answered for you that we need.
Is it kind of loud in here, guys?
Well, we'll just do the video just to give the people, how the mood is. So.
Kind of loud. You want to take that over, babe?
Well.
All right, we're going in, Jamie.
All right, that's what we're waiting for. We love it.
Hey, how are you? There was Vicky Brill in attendance.
Another Sarasodian.
Well, this reminds me of like the show Cops, right?
Yeah,
like
bad boys.
Wait for somebody to start chasing him and put handcuffs
we can
on him.
definitely say that Michael will not be our next production person when it comes to the podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe tell him to flip his camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, please don't.
Michael, flip
so-
your camera if you can, so it's not looking at you anymore.
I mean, you are a good-looking man,
Yeah,
but
he just
yeah.
got in the light.
So,
Now look
yeah.
at this. He just got in the light.
I didn't recognize him. He's got the tie
There.
on. So.
There you go. Perfect.
There we
Babe.
go.
What's that?
So this is downtown Sarasota. This is the Hilton.
Hyatt.
Sorry. The Hyatt. And that is a pretty good turnout right now.
Look at the balloons. I love it.
Yeah, they should be pretty excited.
Yep.
Here, Sarasota County, we have partial results in, but it's a lot of results. And Donald Trump up 12 points in Sarasota County by more than 28,000 votes. You have to remember, Barack Obama in 2008 almost won Sarasota County. He came within about 400 votes of winning. So a 28,000 vote victory here in Sarasota, or trending towards something like that, is a huge victory. And interestingly enough, we have not 28, but 29,000 for Rick Scott, which is probably unexpected, because I think most people would think that there's a little bit of a drop-off between the win rate. And if you look at if you're on we're not showing this, but, and I don't know that you guys probably get bored by watching it, but Donald Trump is currently at 123,000 votes, and Rick Scott 122, so hardly any drop-off in Republicans, but yet 95,000 votes for Harris and 93,000 for, so twice as many people have dropped off. Democrats dropped off when going to the U.S. Senate race, which gives Rick Scott that larger portion of victory. So it looks like, just looking at Sarasota County, you're going to Rick Scott and Donald Trump could trend in the same direction and be neck and neck when it comes to not total raw votes, but percentage of wins. So, Chad, when you said earlier Donald Trump at 10, I was like, oh, maybe Rick Scott's at 7, trailing by 3. These results would say that I'm wrong and you're right, that both of them would trend towards that 10 or 12 points win tonight. But we're going to look at some other votes as we go along. I'm going to give that back to Jennifer. So, did we lose Michael, or is he still with us?
He's still there if you want us to switch back.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's just switch back real quick, Michael,
Yeah.
and we're going to sign off here. It's a great shot of the
Hey,
patio.
I just want to say that we got Roz on the line now. He's
Oh, yeah.
saying, hi, guys and gals, joining you from Oyster Bay, Long Island.
Oyster Bay, the home.
Hi, Roz. You better be smoking a cigar.
Hey, Roz, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us.
So,
Oh, Scott's here, too.
there we go.
Hey, Scott.
So, from Staten Island, Scott from Staten Island.
Scott from Staten Island.
It'd be nice to hear the New York contingency calling in. So
Yeah, we're going to
we
win a
got
couple
Chad's
extra
people coming in.
winning a couple extra congressional seats up there.
Oh, we got
And,
a battle. We got a battle.
Maybe you want to try to go over to Cobb County real quick, and then
Yeah.
we're going to, I think, we're going to say goodbye to
Mike.
you, Michael.
Anyway, Mike, thanks for calling in, man. It's always a blast having you.
And so at 7:15 we have our next guest, and my guess is that she will call in probably right at 7:15. Would be my guess. She's not there yet, right? Okay, so when she pops in, just let me know, and we'll go directly to her, because we have a surprise guest coming directly from the Fox News election desk. I think she's going to break away. She may be a little flexible. We maybe need to be a little flexible in the time. But are we seeing any results from, let's say, like Cobb County?
I don't know where they have their information.
Okay.
So
let's-
I'm on here, but there's nothing.
Election 2024 down at the very bottom.
That's this page.
Okay.
So we're there.
And then just go up to the box and type in election results, see what comes up.
But it is surprising. I mean, I'm not going to say surprising, but it's encouraging how well Sarasota has done with Rick Scott and Trump, the early votes. Another thing, Jamie, too, is that have you looked at any of the data about GOP and the early voting?
Yeah, that's Evan Power went over a little bit of that earlier, the chairman of the Republican Party of Florida. It's incredible what a difference 4 years makes.
I mean, I think I read something, what are we at, like 70% of early voting now? Everybody casts their votes, about 70%?
Yeah, so 70, about total, and we were going into election day with something like 3.5 million Republicans voting, and really about 1.2, 1.3 million super voters left to vote.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see if those super voters continue to come up and vote.
But I always found it interesting. I mean, if you look at early voting back in the day, where kind of the word around the street was, "Don't do early voting. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what's going on." To me, and if anybody that's listening, how amazing it is to vote, at least in Sarasota County. I can only speak to Sarasota County. Is that you walk into your voting district, your precinct, you give them your driver's license or an identification card. They verify, do you live at this address? They give you a ballot. You go to a machine. You fill out your ballot with a pen. You stick it into the ballot machine. And it's almost like your standardized testing scores. If there's a stray mark anywhere on there, and the reason I know this is because I took my pen and put it on there, that ballot does not count. If there is any imperfections in that ballot, you have to go out, seal your ballot, get another ballot, sign a document, and then go back to the voting station.
Right.
I mean, to me, there is no fraud. I mean, it's where else do you can just walk in and get a ballot? You know where you can walk in and just get a ballot? New York.
Right.
Without ID.
Yeah.
You just have to scribble your name on something.
So,
on a ledger.
Jennifer, we're going to put a pin in that for a second. Why don't you tell a little bit of your story about, because if Morgan comes in, we're going to go to her, and then I see we have another guest who has shown up. So we've got a lot of guests for you here tonight, and so you spoke a little bit earlier about your reasons for wanting to support Donald Trump in 2016 and him motivating you to vote. And then here you are in the epicenter of Republican politics in Milwaukee this summer in July at the Republican National Convention. And, we happened to be in with Senator Gruters, Evan Power, some others Saturday when what happened, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, it was, we were in the skybox at Brewers Stadium, and I think it was Sydney that kept trying to call Joe and tell him what happened, and we finally got the news that about the assassination attempt, and we quickly turned on the TV that was in the skybox, and nobody knew what was happening. I mean, until we saw him stand up and, do the fight thing, it was, I think everybody's heart dropped. You could hear a pin drop in that room. And so going forward to Monday, sitting at the RNC, and our seats were one level up directly behind where Trump was sitting. And
in the balcony. Right above the president's seat.
But I probably could have thrown a rock. And it probably would have gotten
You
there.
could have. I could not have.
And I just remember looking at the back of his head, and the feeling of vulnerability that I felt within myself of him sitting there surrounded by thousands and thousands of people. There's the video up right there. After his life was just almost taken from him.
That's a good picture of the ear bandage, right?
Yep. I mean, like I said, the feeling that I felt of vulnerability, I can't imagine being him and having your life that close, almost being taken away from you, and then having the courage to come out and sit in that seat for the rest of the RNC.
Well, and have how many hundreds? I mean, we weren't alone in those seats. There were thousands of people in that balcony who he had his back to that entire time. And you wrote an incredible Facebook post that we'll put on the Reasonable Arguments podcast Facebook after this. But it was just such a touching. I kind of looked over at you at one point.
And tried talking to me while I was typing.
And I could see the emotion on your face. And I thought,
right,
well, are you okay? And I was like, are you okay? And you're like, hush, I'm writing, like I usually say to you, like, you come into the office and I'm like, stop, I'm writing, like, leave me alone.
I get emotional thinking about it because it was, I don't know how any other person would have reacted. Because I was thinking, okay, if someone just tried to, shoot me in my head and hit my ear, would I even want to leave the house? I mean, would I even want to run for president? Why am I doing this if there is a literal target on my back? And, it just, the amount of respect that I had for him in that moment sitting there and having his back to me, which I know it wasn't just to me, but that's how I felt. And, you know, I wanted to do everything to protect him. It was just a really weird feeling of vulnerability and just protection of just how strong this man is to come out and be with his supporters, because he knew we needed to see him.
Yeah, so
Right.
Is how I feel.
when I was down there with the Suns junior, and you could tell the anger that they had on their face, especially with reporters about,
sure.
you know, everything, asking silly questions after their father almost got murdered by about a centimeter.
Yes.
I mean, if that didn't fire up the base or fire up everything going on, then, you know, it's one of those life moments where, holy moly. I mean,
Well, then you
know,
get on social media and people are making fun of it. Oh, it's a shame it wasn't just an inch the other way, and you know, just they should have been a better shooter. It's astonishing how people turn so angry and so hateful. I don't know how, being a human being, you can do that.
I mean, and if you think about it, being at the convention, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but there wouldn't be a chance in this world if our president, Joe Biden, got close to assassination that I wouldn't pray for him, or I'm rooting for the bullet to go the other
Don't
way.
you do it? Football teams. Look at football teams.
Yeah.
I mean, even the stands clap when the other team gets up.
I mean,
if they're hurt.
are we not Americans? So people that are writing this, and this is what's wrong with the left ideology, is that they're actually rooting for murderers
Yes.
to take down, you know, our political figures. I mean, are we in a banana republic? No, we're in the United States. And you have so many people that are rooting for death of our
Yes.
leaders. Just because you disagree with us about certain political situations doesn't mean that you should be
Or you
writing.
just don't even like his personality.
Yeah,
You want him dead because you don't like his
you know,
personality.
and it encourages people. I
Yeah,
mean, that shooter
it's-
is 17, 18 years old. I mean, there's a lot of 18-year-old kids that could be influenced. We don't need the left championing these ideologies. So
Yeah, and then these people will be going to church on Sunday, and it just, you
I
know,
don't think
it's
they
just
go to church. So
Yep.
yeah.
yeah, and it was a very surreal moment for me, especially because I didn't even.
Yeah.
I thought about going to the RNC, probably because Jamie told me I needed 3 different outfits for the day. I needed to wear comfortable shoes. You should wear tennis shoes. Well, any girl knows you can't wear tennis shoes with a dress outfit. I mean, it's stupid, but so that whole.
Carrie Bradshaw does that pretty good.
Yeah. Well, she's no longer on the air. So, but I'm so glad that I went. It was one of the most humbling experiences, and to be a part of that history was just, it was something I will never forget. And so thank you, Jamie, for forcing me to go. I appreciate it.
Well, anytime, baby.
Yes.